Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Work With Me live stream. If you are brand new to my broadcast, my name is Zakia Ringgold, and Saturdays are typically the days where I figure out what is it that I will be posting on social media. And so it looks like it did go live on LinkedIn, which is great. So the purpose of this is I don't necessarily have a complete workflow. So as I was going through the process of it, I thought it would be a really good exercise, if you will, to kind of walk you through the process. So I think it was yesterday or the day before, I gave you all a live stream of my podcast creation process, where I typically just use my cell phone and speak my thoughts right into the phone on what it is that I want to talk about. And then from there, I bring that over into several AI tools. The tool that I used to do that was AudioPen. Now, once it goes into AudioPen and I've recorded it, it has given me a really short summary without all of my ums and ahs that you'll hear on this live stream. I see we have a couple of you watching with the thumbs up and the hearts. Thank you for that. And so I then take it into Treble, which allows me to edit the podcast just so I can make it sound a little better or get rid of any uncomfortable pauses, add background music, anything like that. And then from there, I take it into yet another AI tool, which is Cast Magic, which allows me to quickly generate content, whether that be reels, Instagram stories, which I don't use. I need to get back to Instagram, but that's another story for another day. LinkedIn posts, newsletter posts, blog articles, you name it. Any kind of content that I want to create out of what I started out with, just speaking. Normally I'm on the porch early in the morning, kind of looking out and seeing what's going on, what the day is going to be. And I just kind of talk about what it is that I wish I would have known as an entrepreneur when I was starting, right? All the systems that go behind it. After I get that, I then bring it into my podcasting tool, which distributes it. So it's on Amazon, it's on Spotify, Apple, Google, all of the platforms have all of my podcasts. And I also produce podcasts for my clients. So various clients have me doing interviews for them, and I use the same workflow to generate the content and actually have their content out there. My podcasts are reaching about 20,000 downloads a month, which is a pretty good number for somebody who hasn't been consistent. However, I am noticing that I do need to extend that reach by leveraging continuous forms of content for that same pillar piece of content. I am someone who does subscribe to the Gary V content, but I don't have a whole staff. I have AI on my side to help me create that content. And if you're wondering, my t-shirt says, "Why lie?" This was from another soap maker. It's because I'm a soap maker. So that's why we use lie, in case you were wondering. But I saw that on there. I'm like, you probably got to explain that. Because first of all, you didn't spell lie right. Depending on the circles that you're in, lie isn't spelled right on my shirt. But for soap makers, that is the right way to say lie. But I digress. So what we want to do on this episode is to see how much content we can create from a single piece of content. So this is one of the newer newsletters that will be scheduled to go out on Monday. However, the goal is to create content for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, so it continues to drive people to this newsletter article. And we have AB saying, hey, hope all is well. Things are going very well. Thank you for checking in and saying hello on the YouTube side. I didn't realize we went live on YouTube. Even better. All right, so here is the article, and this one has to do with the power of email for small business. And I know, don't beat a dead horse. We all know the importance of email. But the way I leveraged email as a small business owner during the pandemic, I think was a little bit unique or a little bit different in that it wasn't just text-based email. I embedded videos within most of my emails that went out to clients. And within this article, I do share some of, oh, that's really small. You can't see that. How can I make that bigger? But I will let you know what it says. So I published 207 videos. Of that, we got 80,000 views within email, 9,709 contacts, and 2,724 calls to action. Now, my call to actions within my emails for my clients were typically to schedule a consult, to book a demo of one of our virtual event solutions, or to get additional PDF downloads with additional information. And so the premise of this newsletter is, what is the true power of email if you're running a small business? So really, of course, we all know the good, the bad, and the ugly about leveraging social media. It's one of those necessary evils that we have as small business owners. You have to be present on social media. However, where we typically make the mistake is that our entire business is dependent on social media, and that becomes a problem when the algorithms are no longer in your favor. And what I did was I got a image capture of, and this has kind of been kind of a test period for me this last 30 days to see what is the organic reach as well as the engagement without having ads, without pointing to additional stuff. What is that native engagement that comes when you post content in the form of a newsletter on LinkedIn? And my very first one had over 1,200 organic impressions. When we went to the next one, it went down to about 800 organic impressions. Then it went to 600 down to 200 organic impressions. And so what this told me was, number one, the social media gods or engines, whoever they are, they absolutely want your content. However, it is beholden unto you to make sure that you are leveraging and building your own database of contacts so you can stay in touch with those people who have originally opted in. If I hadn't have had a way for people to connect with me in that very first newsletter, by the time we've gotten to the fourth newsletter, they are no longer able to engage with what it is that I'm sharing. If you all are commenting, I feel like I need to say that. Let me go on LinkedIn because those comments never show up here. So let me go on here and make sure I haven't missed anything that you all are saying. Yep, there's some of you there. Hello there, hello. Oh, it won't let me. Sorry, there's a little bit of a double. So hi there, all of you on LinkedIn. I'm sorry I can't see you on, I can't bring your comments up on the screen, but thank you for being here. So what we're going to do now is I am going to attempt, and I wrote this down, I'm a part of a mastermind, and one person mentioned carousel post on LinkedIn. So we're going to create a carousel post to go out on Monday, which is going to be those 10 critical elements that we talk about in this newsletter. And I believe for that carousel, we're going to use these 10 items for why you should embed video into your email messaging. Then we are also going to do a live stream on the topic of email where I will actually walk people through. I am not a person who likes to say you should do this because the experts say. I have had to test it, try it, and get results from it before I will open my mouth and make a recommendation for someone else to do said thing. So I believe that numbers, like real-time, in-person numbers, and not just screenshots, are very important because Photoshop is a thing. So I want to be able to show this is the result of implementing said XYZ. So I think the live stream will be our Tech Talk Tuesday, where I walk through exactly what I'm proposing that individuals do and the results that they can expect if they do it the way that I am proposing. Nobody can guarantee the same exact results, but you can definitely at least get a blueprint, which is what I feel like was missing for me as a small business owner. And that was something that, let me come off of here for a second before we get into the devil in the details. I have no idea what this full shot is going to look like, but hey, everybody, it's early morning. This is how I look on a Saturday morning, but whatever. Um, there wasn't a blueprint, and that was something that often caused strife within me as I was building my business because um, I like to know that I'm going by the book. And my best friend Birdie used to always say, "You're creating it. So there will not be a blueprint," right? And no two business owners are going to have the exact kind of journey or experience. We can approach the same exact problem, we can come up with the same exact solution, but the way we implement it is going to be vastly different depending on our background or the experiences that we've had. And so my background is training, human resources, customer service. Help desk was a huge part of how I got started. So when I approach the clients that I work with, it's always from the how can I make this as simple as possible? And then also support them and be proactive in what those potential questions will be in providing those performance support tools. So all of those were elements that made up how I went about moving in my business for virtual event planning and even the soap company and now the agency stuff that I do with the podcast production and the social media stuff. But now we're bringing it back to how are we going to do it for our own business, right? So I am really good at social media campaigns and outreach campaigns for all of my clients. But then I said, well, wait a minute, what's going on with what's happening here? But I figured this would be a really easy way for those people who are struggling with, okay, I know I have a message. I know I need to get this content out there, and we can kind of go along and do it together. So the first thing is you have to start out with a thing. Like it can't just be I have an idea. You have to have a tangible thing that you want to share. So for this example, we have and of course they're cutting grass now, so hopefully it doesn't come across too much. What is that tangible thing? And for me, it was that podcast episode, which started with a thought on my cell phone. It was, why is email so important, but why are people doing it incorrectly? And for me, and why I think I was able to get the results is because I didn't just approach it as here's an email with a bunch of text that you don't want to read anyway. I typically have about 20, 30, 40, 50, 80,000 unread messages in my mailbox. So how could I make my messages stand out? And one of the first things I did in 2020 was implement video within every email message that I sent to my clients. Every single email that they got from me, it was me either, well, not everyone. The first one was typically all text. The follow-up emails that they got from me was always video on walking them through the proposals, walking them through contracts, giving them demos of what the virtual experience would be like for them, for their speakers, for the attendees. And so there wasn't a question. There wasn't this like blurry area. And so I spoke that into a podcast, and now I need to convert that podcast into different forms of content. So your first call to action is, what is that thing that you want to share? And just make it one thing. My one thing is why small business owners need to leverage email. And how do you leverage it effectively so that it stands out? And my premise or my hypothesis is leveraging video, embedding video in those messages. So this is getting really loud behind me. If you all could let me know if you can hear okay, and if you cannot, what we will do is we will come back. So the first thing I talked about, or the last place we left off, was Cast Magic in that other video that I did. And if you don't remember, Cast Magic allows you to import or record audio. It gives you a transcription that you can then turn around and either edit if it doesn't get your name right, like you see here. It's still, nobody spells Zakia right. There is not a Y in my name, not a Y. So you can edit the podcast or the transcript so that it says that. When you say video in email, can they watch the video in the email without clicking away to the website? They cannot watch it within their email. However, there's a GIF image that it kind of looks like you're moving. You've seen them. It looks like you're moving, so when you click on there, and that's why it's important that your first message to them isn't a video message. Make sure you set those expectations that the future emails, I'm going to expand on this with video so that my point is clear, my message doesn't get lost in translation, and then there's also a transcript on there for them to be able to read, or captions on the video. If they can't listen to it, they can at least read what it is you're saying. But that's a really good question. Most video, in most of the platforms like Gmail and all of that, they will not allow you to embed a video in there. However, you can use video in LinkedIn messaging. So a lot of my DM responses are going via message instead of just text. All right, so within Cast Magic, it gives me the entire transcript of what it was that I said. And then the beauty of it is it then creates what's known as AI content. And if any of you have played around with ChatGPT, you absolutely know that you can ask it a question and it returns a response. This takes it a next level because it's going by what I recorded in my podcast to generate the answers to those prompts. So it gives me title suggestions. It gives me an introduction for the article if I'm doing an article. It gives me a podcast summary that I can use when I upload it into my hosting platform for the podcast. It even gives me the keywords that I can use in order to, instead of trying to figure out what are these keywords. Now, normally the real way of doing this is you do your whole SEO research for what it is that you want to target and be found for on the internet. I don't do that. It's my experience. So, I mean, either people need to know those things or they don't. But if you're going after the SEO, you typically would have had these keywords prior to recording your podcast. Gives you a 1-sentence summary about what it is that you shared, your key topics and bullet points. What we want here is the clip finder, because we want to take those clips and import them into my tool, which is ContentFries, which will generate audiograms for me. So there's a couple. The power of email for small business owners. In a world where social media grabs the spotlight, let's talk about why having an email management system is like having your own VIP lounge in the digital universe. So I really like that one. So let's go to my dashboard in ContentFries. ContentFries allows you to put long form content into the platform, and then it shoots out multiple short form pieces of content. All right, so we're gonna do fries. Let's start a wizard. And we want our ContentFries context editor. Let's go ahead and upload that podcast. Oh, I hope it'll take a WAV file. I don't remember. Yeah, that's it. It'll work. Then you can enable your vocabulary so it will spell my name correctly. If you have multiple speakers, say this was a podcast interview, you can enable it to automatically identify multiple speakers. And now that's done, so I'm going to go to the last step. And this is the beauty of ContentFries. It's saying, what type of context do you want me to create as a result of this long form content? So it can do a Facebook video, Instagram, LinkedIn, IG, YouTube, video story, TikTok. I don't use TikTok. I know, got to get back on there. And long form. Then we want to choose a template. Let's go to the global fry boxes. Let's just go with this one because then I'll just be able to replace it with an image. And you can upload your own templates in here. I'm going to go with this template and say finish. So now what it's doing is it's processing that content. And now let's come back to Cast Magic. So that's the clip finder that we're going to use to parse out those specific elements that we want for the clips to go for our social media post this week. There's also show notes where you can say what are the key lessons from this particular episode. So it gives you the notes as well as the key lessons. And what I did with those key lessons and what you can do with those key lessons is you can create snippets within your podcast episode. Now, I don't think I did. Oh, I did. I did it with this one. So some of the key things I talked about in this episode were what's a CRM or examples of lead magnets. And what that'll do is if somebody is looking at this on a website or within one of the podcast players, they can jump right to that specific
They
section.
can be in the form of ebooks, webinars,
Of your podcast.
cheat sheets, or really
All of it. And I think this is done. And so now what we want to do is grab the background. All right, so let's import uploads. I'm sorry. We're going to upload from my device. I hope I have. If I don't, let's go. Because we want the same. Let's come into Canva. I'm going to grab this podcast cover for Business Tech Unraveled. That's this one. And so we want this image. Come on over. Is this in the back? Yeah, I'll bring forward. Because I want this to be the space where the caption plays. Why won't you click? Move me over. How did I add that? Kind of want that over. I need enough space for the I don't know that we need this. I don't want that. All right, that's going to look a little weird, but just for the sake of time, let's download this. Oh, you guys can't see my screen. All that time I was talking, you couldn't see what I was showing you? Oh, no. No. Hopefully you can see now. So we'll grab that one and bring it into Content Rise. You know, if I come over to images, it's here, so I'm going to choose that one. It's too big. There we go. And now for our captions, we need to bring that up so it's above the image. And we actually want them to display here. Oh, I'm looking on the thing. And then we also want the movement thing. So just so you can see how this goes now, if I click play. And
Welcome to another episode of Business Tech Unraveled, the podcast that empowers small business owners to navigate the ever-evolving world of technology to grow your business online. I'm Zakia Ringgold, your guide on this journey of digital mastery.
All right, so let me come back here. Not sure who all is watching, but hopefully I at least gave you a bit of a primer into the thought process in terms of creating content that can be reused and repurposed with one single piece of content. So by creating that single podcast episode, I'm now able to leverage that content to get people to go back to the particular article. So hopefully you all found this helpful. I will record a complete tutorial, but I thought it was pretty good to kind of give you all the thought process on why I've stayed away from the whole email and content marketing stuff, but how I'm able to help my clients for them. But you know what? You figure they are probably going to my website to figure out, oh, what is she doing? So let me at least have some examples there. And hopefully if you are struggling with creating your content, you are leveraging AI tools, and then you are leveraging just the spoken word. If you can speak it, you can write it. If you can write it, you can read it. You can have a video for it and all of that to share what it is that you have in terms of your products, services, and or expertise. I'm Zakia Ringgold. Hopefully you found this helpful, and hopefully I was sharing when I was supposed to be sharing and you weren't just looking at me talking. But you know, live and you learn. I have a great weekend or day, afternoon, morning, or evening, depending on when you watch this replay. Bye, everybody.